Ever wonder what it would cost to clean up after a nervous wreck who accidentally threatens the entire cosmos? We're not talking about your average run-of-the-mill mess here. We're talking about a kid who accidentally kickstarts galactic wars, brings back horrifying interdimensional parasites, and somehow manages to make every single situation infinitely worse, all while trying to survive high school. Well, today we're gonna find out. Welcome back to our new series where we calculate the financial debt left behind by the most chaotic characters. And this time, we're tackling the perpetually traumatized, yet surprisingly resilient sidekick himself. The one, the only, Morty Smith. Let's start small, shall we? Before we dive into the multiverse-ending scenarios, let's consider the humble, everyday damages Morty causes right here on Earth. Because even when he's not facing down eldritch horrors, Morty still manages to rack up a bill. First off, let's talk about the Smith household, Rick's garage, the supposed sanctuary of scientific discovery. It's often the focus of Morty's more chaos. How many times has Morty accidentally bumped a delicate piece of machinery, spilled a corrosive liquid, or accidentally activated a doomsday device that then exploded, taking a chunk out of the garage wall? We're not talking about deliberate destruction here. Just the pure, unadulterated consequence of a nervous teenager fumbling around with alien tech. Each minor incident with a broken beaker, a scorched workbench, or a hole in the wall probably cost a few $1,000s to repair. Especially when you consider the specialized nature of Rick's equipment. Let's assign an estimate of $50,000 per season for general garage-related damage. Over 7 seasons, that's already a cool $350,000. And then there's Rick Potion number 9. Morty just wanted Jessica to like him, but instead, he helped create a love virus that mutated the entire population into grotesque Cronenbergs. That's Earth-wide damage, folks. Turning an entire planet into Cronenbergs, that's not exactly something you can sweep under the rug. The economic fallout here is insane. We're not just talking about a couple of broken buildings or a trash city block. This is everything. Every skyscraper, every road, every piece of tech, every personal possession across the entire globe, gone. And that's before we even factor in the fact that you've basically lost the entire world's workforce, industries, governments, the whole system that keeps an economy running. Now, obviously, trying to calculate the exact dollar amount for losing an entire Earth is kind of impossible. We're talking astronomical numbers. But for the sake of Morty's debt counter, let's focus on the initial mess, the Cronenberg incident itself. Even if you only count the immediate destruction and the fact that Rick and Morty had to abandon their original reality, it's already one of the most expensive mistakes ever made. So to give it a number, we're setting the cost of that little science experiment at around $500 billion. That is $500 billion for accidentally turning humanity into a horrifying nightmare. Not exactly a great start for Morty's financial record. Then you've got the smaller, more day-to-day disasters that Morty brings home. They don't always look as dramatic as an alien invasion, but trust me, they add up. Think about how many times Morty's dragged some alien plant or weird little creature back to the house, only for it to escape and completely wreck the place. You've got Glarbonian vines sprouting in the living room, alien pets chewing through wires, food supplies getting contaminated. It's basically interdimensional termites, but worse. Now, this isn't the kind of damage you call your average repair guy for. This is a specialized cleanup. Hazmat suits, interplanetary pest control, high-tech sterilization are what work for such damages. To be conservative, we're talking around $10,000 every time the Smith household gets infested with Morty's latest oopsie. And given how often it happens, easily another $100,000 damage over the course of the show. And sure, we're talking dollars here, but the emotional toll, that's a whole different bill. Imagine being Jerry or Summer and coming home to find the couch eaten by alien slime or your cereal crawling away on 6 legs. The therapy costs alone would bankrupt a middle-class family if they actually bothered with therapy. Missed work, stress, breakdowns, fighting with each other, it all snowballs into hidden costs that are way harder to put a number on. But for this breakdown, we'll stick to cold hard cash. And finally, we can't ignore the little things that happen constantly. The accidents at school, like when Morty melted a desk with a laser beam, the cars he's dinged up during Rick's adventures, even if Rick usually patches them up with some sci-fi duct tape, or just the endless stream of household junk that gets vaporized, mutated, or straight up lost to another dimension. On their own, these might feel small, but they're not free. So we'll give this chaos a bill of about $5,000 per session for these incidental earthbound screw-ups. Add it up over the series and that's another $35,000 to the tally. So yeah, even Morty's minor messes cost more than people make in a year. Now this is where things really get messy. We're leaving Morty's backyard disasters behind and stepping into the multiverse. And this is where his death meter doesn't just climb, it explodes off the charts. Because once Morty starts bouncing between dimensions, he's no longer just a local nuisance. He's actually a full-on galactic liability. First up, property damage on alien worlds. Morty has this uncanny ability to walk into an alien city and, usually within minutes, accidentally cause catastrophic damage. In the Rick Shank Redemption, during the prison break, Morty fires wildly, trips traps, and basically adds fuel to the fire in what was already a galactic crisis. Now imagine the bill for rebuilding alien infrastructure, especially when we're talking about technology that's centuries more advanced than ours. We're not just replacing windows and sidewalks. Instead, we're talking about power conduits that also work as weapons, teleportation grids, and sacred alien landmarks. One bad Morty panic move could level an entire city block. So conservatively, let's say $100 million in damages per major incident. And given the number of interdimensional escapades Morty's been dragged into, at least 5 times we can clearly point to. That's $500 million right there. But the fallout doesn't stop at broken buildings. There's also the law enforcement response. Morty has a knack for attracting the absolute worst attention from galactic authorities. Space cops, bounty hunters, entire military fleets, and when they show up, things don't exactly stay peaceful. Think about Vindicators Free. Morty's decisions help trigger a massive chain of destruction, including the loss of some of the most advanced superhero tech in the galaxy. That alone would cost tens of millions. But when you add in the cost of mobilizing military ships, firing weapons, repairing fleets, and the chaos of clearing up after Morty, that's easily another $200 million stacked on top of the bill. And then we get into Morty's worst habit, breaking priceless alien artifacts. Every time Rick warns him, don't touch that. What does Morty do? He touches it! And when you're dealing with reality-bending relics, ancient orbs, or supercomputers that literally run civilizations, the price tag isn't just a couple grand at Home Depot. These are items worth billions, and when Morty shatters them, the loss isn't just financial, it's also history and scientific progress gone in an instant. So over the series, we can safely pin at least $1 billion on Morty's clumsy hands destroying unique alien tech. And of course, we can't forget the microverse battery incident. While Rick is the mastermind behind it, Morty was right there helping run the system and almost collapse an entire civilization in the process. Think about that for a second. An entire society with billions of people, their economy, their infrastructure, their way of life hanging by a thread because Morty accidentally pushed the wrong buttons. The economic fallout of wiping out a microverse is beyond calculation. But for our meter, we'll assume it to be $2 billion debt. Okay, so we've talked about the massive intergalactic disasters and the alien civilizations footing the bill. But what about closer to home? If we're being real, the people who suffer the most from Morty's chaotic adventures aren't faceless alien governments. It's his own family. The Smiths are basically collateral damage every single season. Let's start with the house. Between the alien plants Morty brings back, the mutant pets that escape, and the countless times some interdimensional creature finds its way into the living room, the Smith residence has been destroyed, rebuilt, and destroyed again more times than anyone can keep track of. You've got broken furniture, scorched walls, chewed up electronics, even food supplies that end up contaminated with alien goo. These aren't little inconveniences. They're thousands of dollars in damages every single time. If we conservatively set the cost of each major incident at $10,000, and given how often this happens across the series, the Smiths are staring down at least $100,000 in home repairs alone. And it doesn't stop there. Morty's chaos follows him everywhere. Remember the time he melted a desk at school with alien tech? Or the times Jerry's car was wrecked because Morty couldn't keep Rick's gadgets under control? Even if Rick sometimes fixes things with a snap of his fingers, there's still a cost attached. And to keep things simple, we'll estimate $5,000 per season for all those smaller accidents. Across 7 seasons, that's another $35,000 on the tab. Then there's the emotional cost, which, let's be honest, might be the steepest of all. Constant chaos, life-threatening adventures, and the way Morty casually drags danger into their everyday lives would drive any family to therapy. If the Smiths actually went, we'd be looking at years' worth of sessions, which would rack up tens of thousands more in medical bills. On top of that, think about the hidden costs, missed work, stress-related illnesses, and the productivity lost every time Beth or Jerry are too busy cleaning up after Morty's latest disaster to live normal lives. We won't put a dollar sign on it here, but these hidden costs paint a clear picture. Morty's mistakes don't just wreck property, but lives too. So yeah, when alien civilizations might be filling billion-dollar insurance claims because of Morty, the Smith family is left footing the bill for other things. And if that's what happens at home, just imagine what happens when Morty's mistakes spill out into the multiverse. Spoiler, it gets way more expensive. Now let's bring it all together and figure out exactly how much this terrified teenager owes the multiverse. We started small with the normal Earthbound damages, a whopping $500 billion for the Cronenberg disaster alone, plus another $350,000 for the general wreckage he causes in Rick's garage, $100,000 for all those alien infestations at home, and a final $35,000 for the miscellaneous screw-ups that happen every single season. Then we took things interstellar. Morty's chaos in other dimensions and on alien worlds added up fast. That's another $500 million in intergalactic property damage, $200 million for the military and law enforcement he's called down on their heads, and a cool $1 billion for all the priceless alien artifacts he smashed. Not to mention the $2 billion for almost wiping out the entire microverse. So after tallying up every single broken artifact, every crashed spaceship, every contaminated food supply, and every dimension he's had to abandon, the final total on Morty's bill is a mind-boggling $503 billion. That's over $500 billion. It's an amount so ridiculously large, it probably doesn't even make sense in most galactic currencies. So, there you have it. That's Morty for you. Billions in accidental damage, and somehow he still manages to go to school, worry about his grades, and occasionally try to get a girlfriend. Maybe that's the real tragedy. While the rest of us stress about student loans, Morty's out there casually owing the entire universe, just trying not to get killed.